This is the Stop Time Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hopkins, and I'm here to engage you in thought-provoking, motivational conversations around practicing the art of living in the moment. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm excited to dig deep and offer insights into embracing who we are and where we are at. So my next guest is dancer, actress, and content creator Kim Hale, who is shaking up any and all limiting beliefs about what over 50 is supposed to look like. With more than 500,000 followers on TikTok, she is using her platform and her lifelong passion for dance to inspire others and prove that you are only as old as you feel. She's currently featured in the Home Goods Finding is a Feeling campaign and appeared as the Pie Lady in the 2020 Emmy Award winning Netflix holiday musical Christmas on the Square, starring Dolly Parton, for which she was also one of the assistant choreographers to Emmy and Golden Globe winner director choreographer Debbie Allen. Other recent performing credits include Spirited, starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, Mrs. American Pie, upcoming on Apple TV+, multiple episodes of The Late Late Show with James Corden, choreographed by Chloe Arnold, and The Ellen Show. I'm so excited just to get started and to chat with my friend Kim. Kim, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and have this conversation.
Ditto, ditto. Thanks so much for taking the time to be in the moment with me.
Thank you for that beautiful intro. Wow. Thank you. I love it.
Can you paint a picture of what the rhythm of your days is like?
Yeah, I have really packed days and I have days that aren't so packed. But a normal day for me, I get up early, like 7 o'clock, and I like to start off with, I write my little affirmations, my manifesting, the things I want to do. I have a practice now of like writing out like a day, what it looks like. A day of that would be a dream day for me. Like today, I went to the chiropractor to get my bones back together. I often take a ballet class. I have a ton of stuff to do at home. I am going to take a jazz class tonight. That's kind of a typical day. There's always some kind of like practice for my body, whether it's going to PT or something. It does take some effort to keep my body going and that I don't always talk about. I mean, it's a pretty typical day, I think, for anybody in my position, a dancer. I think, regardless of your age, I think that's what's interesting about it. It's all kind of the same. And
Mm,
there's always a lot of self care in that as well.
I love it. I love it. And how has that shifted for you in terms of, taking yourself back to when you were first training versus now? And I'm curious to know how things
Oh,
are different.
things are different mindset, being more mindful, I think, about my worth is not in all of this.
Mm,
I think that's the biggest lesson and thing I still work on. But as a young dancer, putting my total worth and value as a human being into if my leg was high, if I did 5 pirouettes, which I've never probably ever done, to be honest. I know that's common today. I could only dream. If I booked a job, if I got a call back, if I didn't, I was such a young person who put my worth in that.
mm,
I'm terrible. I'm amazing. I suck. This roller coaster ride that is totally, you cannot sustain that. So now I try to do what makes me happy. I try to trust my intuition, listen to my body more. So I think mindset is the biggest difference. And with all of that said, I still have good and bad days like everybody. So I grapple with things all the time. But the focus is on doing what I love
yeah.
and exploring what's possible. What is possible? That's
Mm,
the thing. What can I do? Like what I thought 6 months ago I could do is so different than what I actually can do. And
yeah.
some of it's in my mind, some of it is my body, some is trusting that my body will do it and kind of knowing where the line is. Like this weekend, I took a choreographer Marguerite Derrick's taught when I was in New York City. And I actually surprised myself that what I did, but the energy in the room, the vibe was so good. You rise up to who's in the room. So here I am with all these 20 somethings, 30 somethings probably. And I definitely lifted up in the space because of their energy. So I actually did more than I thought I could, which was incredible.
I love that. And it's interesting because it's like the stakes are so different. You know what I mean? Like so often I work with clients, very successful people who lose track of their why, right?
Mhm.
So do you know what I mean? They're so used to saying yes, 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 because that's what we're taught to do, right? Opportunity comes, you take it, you take it, you take it, and then you get to a certain level, and then you're still taking it. And then you start going, why am I taking this? I don't really want to do it anymore. It's really interesting to me because I feel like what's really cool about you, and I'd love to talk about how you got there. You're now saying yes to everything. I feel like there was probably a place in there, and I'm curious if you can sort of tap into where that was, where you started saying, no, 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 I shouldn't, where you were playing more into the no's after the yeses. And now you're back to yes again. Talk to me.
I've had many stops and starts. For me, it's a pattern. The pattern started in my youth and having dance taken away from me for stupid reasons of, I didn't raise my hand in class. I got in trouble, something I was warned. So I got dance taken away from me. And then I did sports. And so I did what other people wanted. And then when I went to community college and I reclaimed what I wanted to do. So I became like always a kind of an underdog situation. And then I took it away from myself. So then there was a pattern of taking what I love away from myself, which I've only now kind of started to unpack why that is. Why did I repeat what was done to me?
Mm,
And devastated me, to be honest. Anybody that truly knows me knows that like gutted me to take that away from me.
yeah.
And I became incorrigible, to be honest, as a teenager. So I think then later I got to certain points and I would, stop again. So the first time was maybe in my 20s, late 20s, around the time of Fosse and not getting certain things. And I gave up. I didn't give up. I say I quit. I don't like to say I gave up, but I quit for the moment. I gave up on that dream. And then I started to do other things. I taught in a university. Then I got hungry again and then I went back. I left a tenure track, university job, very secure, something so many people would want. Went back to the city, did a little bit. Nope, not going to do it this time. Came to
Mm,
LA. Same kind. So this cycle, met Debbie Allen. Then I started again. No, I can't do it. And in all of that, then I decided, well, I'm going to be something else. I'm going to prove that I can do other things. I'm now around Debbie Allen, a powerhouse who does many things. So she gave me a lot of opportunity to try things. So I was like a marketing manager, a social media person. I did, I worked in development. I was an agent. I was a publicist, all still attached to dance, which is interesting.
mm,
And then when COVID hit, I guess in a nutshell, I had just lost both my parents. I was diagnosed with melanoma, multiple cases on my face. So I had skin cancer surgery. Then I got Bell's palsy. I woke up one day on Christmas, I think late 2020, and my face was drooping to one side.
wow.
Like, what is happening? I have scars. Now I'm growing my hair out, so I have roots out. And something inside of me just said it's time to get back to dance. And that's kind of the long and short of it. And now, I've been back like a year and a half, probably a year and a
Mm,
half. It seems like people think it's a lot longer. It's like a year and a half. And I've actually had to walk through that space again where I felt that like, oh, I can't do it, and really recently had to like muscle up, call somebody and say, you know what I mean? I'm feeling this way. I'm aware of it. I'm cognizant of it,
mm.
thank goodness. And I'm going to walk through it. And I did. I took those trips to New York was kind of part of that. Like, let me just get reinvigorated. And it worked. and that's kind of, how it is, trying also to be something that I'm not, thinking I
Mm,
have to be something. I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer.
yeah.
I love that. And I think there's still so much I can do and have to say. So,
Two things that stand out for me. One is that pattern that you referred to. It sounds like it started, if I heard you correctly, it started by someone else taking away
yes,
from you for
yes.
okay. And how old were you then?
Or I was 12.
So you were 12, and
Uh-huh.
before it was taken away from you, what was your perception about dance?
I was like, I want to be a ballet dancer. I love dance. This is what I'm going to do. There was no question. I loved everything about it.
Cool. And then if I heard you correctly, it didn't sound like it was a big thing that you did that precipitated
No,
what
no, no, no.
right,
It was
that
literally like talking out of turn. I still do it, like not
yeah.
raising my hand, talking over somebody. It was very, looking back, it was so minor.
Yeah, it sounded minor to me just the way you said it. So was that in the class or was that not related and
No, no,
then they
no.
took a
It was in school. It was in
that's what I
my
thought.
middle school class. Yes, I think eighth grade.
So
And it's
who
funny because I just recently realized that when people will say things to me, I'm always like, I'm 12, or I always was referring to 12. Actually
mm,
found this out in my acting class that I would
mm,
say, go back to a memory. And I always would say 12, 12, or my brother and I would joke, I'm really just 12. And now
yeah.
I see the connection that was such like a life-changing moment for me to have, just the innocent hope of a dream, and this that, as a child, you're dependent on somebody. I tried to sneak and ride my bike and do all the things, but, I couldn't.
So when it was taken away from you, was it just sort of that happened at school, that's bad, therefore I'm gonna take away what you love? Is that how it worked?
Yes, it kind of was. We were on a family vacation, and I had been warned, like, if one more time and you're gonna, dance will be it. You're
Uh,
losing dance. And it was my mother, and my father was like, it's kind of severe, and my mother's thought process, this is in like 1982 or 3, was if you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, the children will never have respect for you again.
mm, right.
So I was like, I always tell people I was hurling my body around, crying, screaming, and I don't even remember like how I got through. I went on to do sports and things, but somehow I always thought in my head, like, I'm gonna just be this person. I'm just gonna train in my bedroom. We didn't have internet, we didn't have anything, and I'm gonna do plies and tandis. And I always knew I would come back somehow.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's
Secretly inside of myself, I knew.
100%. It makes perfect sense that the whole thing just makes so much sense to me. So
Yes, it's very, actually, the whole pattern, and then
yep,
taking it away from yourself and authority figures not picking you for jobs. And, I took everything so personal because what I know now, and we're very much more advanced, is I was triggered by all of that. It brought that up for me every time I
well,
did it.
also yeah, yeah, and I mean, also, I mean, that's a trauma, right? I mean, and so you were and again, this sidebar, but you
Yeah.
were something you depend on your parents, right? Even at 12, right? You can't be independent. So, when it's modeled that I'm not safe if I do what I love,
Mhm.
right? You don't do it because what's the alternative, right? So,
I could have been like, had television taken away, which people did. I could
yeah,
have been, we had restriction, be grounded for a month, not see friends. But no, she went for the jugular. She
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
But
no,
also in the history of that, I now know too that both of my parents had unrequited dreams.
hmm yeah,
Mother was a brilliant artist, a brilliant, she could have been a set designer. She was a painter.
mm,
She knew how to, like, she was very creative, just even
yeah.
like things in the house. And my father, I learned much later, wanted to be like a Shakespearean actor and gave that up to marry my mother. And they ended up getting divorced. So,
It's interesting. It occurs to me that would you say that the seminal moment when you really decided I need dance back and I'm gonna do it, like I'm sure you thought about it a lot, but was that during the pandemic?
it was. And I also would say that I had lost both my parents. So there's also, some people may take this strange, but it released me
Hmm,
to step into who I was without having to worry about, I actually
yeah,
just did a post about, not playing small anymore, because it's still always, believe it or not, still do that. But,
yeah,
it released me from that I could just do it,
yeah,
that I could just try. Or
yeah,
it wasn't even at that moment that I wasn't thinking about, like, I'm going to try to book a job. I just wanted to dabble back into dance. I had no intentions of it coming even to where I'm sitting today. It
no.
wasn't intention. I literally was trying to find some joy in like a very dark moment. in my
Yeah.
life, like being on my couch with stitches in your face, like what just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. What stands out to me too, I'm curious to know what you think about this, is that, when it happened to you when you were 12, right? And then when you kept kind of modeling it because somehow you identified it with safety, play safe a
Mhm.
little bit, right? Don't follow, don't be too passionate. Also makes sense why you're going in all these different directions,
Uh-huh.
right? But during the pandemic, it was it was collective trauma. We were all in the same thing, and that release that you're referring to, I'm so curious. Well, I don't even know. I mean, maybe this isn't, you don't even need to respond, but I just want to share with you, like, it just comes out to me like that permission, because it's not just Kim in the corner getting in trouble for being passionate about something, right? It's like, no, we've all got everything taken away from us, and we're all experiencing trauma. And so it just seemed like a very safe place, right? From that point of view, for you to say, now's the time.
Yeah, and I think that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
I'll give some insight in is then you are in a place where I haven't really moved for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm feeling insecure because I mean they healed well, but I had, stuff going on with my face. I also was left with a neurological kind of like condition where well, we're not even sure exactly what it is, but like face will go numb, not numb, but like I have like these nerves in my face that get
Yeah.
irritated. And though it never happens when I'm dancing, and it was interesting, and it didn't happen when I was in New York, but it happens in LA, trust me. But and also, I guess the long and short of this, relinquishing what I thought I was to give myself
Mm,
permission to be who I am today.
yeah.
Which is why I realize now that I turned to hip hop because I had never done it. So
That's
I had
interesting.
no preconceived notion of what I should look like. So I
Yes.
was taking some ballet classes on the side, like really low key, but it was hip hop that kind of like my energy started to come back and who I was and the way I like to dance and move and like a little sass in me started to like creep out, you know. And
Totally.
so it was very organic, but I realized I had no expectation.
Yeah.
My leg
Totally.
doesn't go here. I can't do this or I can't do that. It's like, well, let me try
Yeah.
and see what's possible. So it was like a gradual unearthing
Yeah.
of that. It had a very kind of slow pace to it.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
so
she
cool.
gets to the place where, I take choreographers classes now that I only ever dreamed about,
Mm. Hmm.
I dreamed I was so scared in my youth. Like
Yeah.
Margaret Garrix is a huge one. Like I was so scared, and now I just live for her class, and she's been such a great support and
Mm.
mentor to me um, in just seeing me
Yeah.
and saying, you're welcome in this space,
Yes.
and yeah, and so I've had this is a newer journey, but it's been a great one, and she has a connection to Debbie Allen, so we shared that. She gave her first job, so she has been just a great encourager, if you will,
Mm.
in defying some of the stereotypes, and struggling. I recently had someone tell me, they asked me, well, whose class do you take? I said Marguerite Derrick's class, and they were like, really? Like they looked at me like I had three horns growing out of my class. Yes,
Mm.
her class is hard. Am I the best one? No, but I definitely go in there and represent like for myself. And so, learning how to navigate some of that, even at 55, learning how to navigate those stereotypes that come at you about what's possible.
100%. And I think it's probably good for the listeners to hear, the listeners that aren't dancers, because there's another element that sometimes gets overlooked, right? With, okay, she's in her 50s and she's dancing. Well, so what? But what they don't understand is all the limiting beliefs that we as dancers learn. And for a dancer, from a dancer, we've been told for so long, that's fucking old.
Yes. Oh, 55, honey, that's old.
I mean, if you're a ballet dancer and you're 30, you're old.
I
So
mean,
I'm,
our generation especially, I
yeah.
mean, here in LA, I think people are in and out quicker than they are in New York,
Hmm.
So I always try to say to people, like if I'm sharing, yes, I'm talking about dance, but I always try to say, find what that is for you, because it might be gardening, it might be sewing,
Yes.
it might be golfing, it might be tennis. and reimagining what that looks like. So, yes, I have goals, I have dreams, but I have to reimagine them. They're not the same. And I think the gift is in the reimagining of it all, because you can get chained and tied into, well, I can't do it the way I did at 26. Well, no, of course not. I'm not 26, but I can do it this way at 55. And
Yep.
so the reimagining is key in my journey, in my process, in having compassion for myself and others in the process.
Totally. And it's funny too, because as soon as you let go of that, of the comparison of self, things change, right? Rules fall away. And so doors open, which is what you're experiencing, right? New doors open, ones that you never would have imagined.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I
Super
think
cool.
it's yeah, it's a gift. The reimagining was really the key for me. Was the
Yeah.
key to unlock everything. Things I still struggle with, but the reimagining I got. Like,
Yep.
okay, let's reimagine this and
Love it.
see what can happen.
I love that. What would you say are like the greatest challenges in your new paradigm? Because it sounds like you're in a really good space right now, right? What are some of the biggest challenges for you now in that? Because sometimes, more success can just bring, more problems or more, I'm not implying that there are
Oh,
problems,
of
more
course.
challenges. Yeah.
Oh, this is such a great question. I think staying true to myself.
Mm,
A good example for me, and this is very dance specific, but you know, I I know what I like, choosing classes to take and what I want to take and who I want to study with. And maybe those aren't the classes where I'm going to get a video or I'm going to do this, and really staying true to what I know is right for me.
mm,
Surrounding myself with really good people. There's an ebb and flow of people. People come for short term, people come for long term. I think being clear about that. Everybody's yeah, that's a hard one to really grapple with. I have a smaller group of people. Luckily, I would say I'm like, COVID didn't bother me too much, the isolation, because I'm a loner with extrovert qualities. Like, I can be by myself, always have. When I lived in New York in my 20s, I can go to the movies by myself, go to the park, go wherever. Here I'm the same. I don't have to have somebody with me. I like people though, but I'm totally able to do things on my own, sometimes too much. And then I think the third thing, it's just staying mentally strong. I mean,
mm.
I don't know how else to say it.
So do you, I don't know anything about you really. Are you like, do you live by yourself? Do you have a family? What's
Yeah,
your,
I live by myself, not married. Yeah, solo. So I'm lucky in the sense that the gift of one of the gifts of my life is I can, do what I want and kind of plan. you know, I don't have anybody dependent on me, I guess. So I know
yeah.
that sounds weird, but it's just the truth. It is the way it is. So that comes with pros and cons. So it's funny because people will say, oh, well, you only ever are talking about dance. I do a lot of other things. And I always say, like, just because I don't post about it doesn't mean I don't have other things that I like to do or, have other interests. I I'm happy with this phase in my life and exploring
Totally.
it and connecting with what brings me joy. Because I spend so much time being angry and frustrated and, trying to fit into boxes, putting what do they say, a square into a round hole.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. What, if anything, in this moment, you can only speak from this moment because this is where you are right now. But what if anything sort of stands in the way of, you know, what you want to be, where you want to go?
Myself, to be
Mm,
honest, I think it's the staying strong mentally, and it's such a big, I didn't realize, like, even as a younger dancer or performer, or just as a young person in general, the power of the mind and how it can take you, into those thoughts, like we were saying, insecurity, doubt, fear, all of that. Yes, I'm dependent on other people for opportunities, but nothing can keep me from just wanting to dance.
That's right.
or take class, or I love that aspect. I love to train. So there's nothing keeping me from that, you know.
Mm,
And staying connected to the joy of it, because so many times I lost my connection to the love and the joy of dancing, especially when you start working or doing things, it becomes, that desperation. Like, I want to do
mm.
this, I want to do that. And really always trying to come back to, but I love to dance regardless. So let's not let that interfere with just the love of doing and passion for this art form.
Yeah. What would you do if you couldn't dance? Say dance didn't exist.
Gosh, I don't know. I'm definitely a creative person.
Yeah.
Always, all the little detours I have taken, I've enjoyed every one of them,
Mm.
in different ways. I don't know what I would do. Oh my gosh, I don't know. But I know there's something out there that is for me. I don't know.
What qualities would it have to have? Because really that's what it is, right?
Creativity. I think being able to be creative,
Yeah.
flexible. I like to figure things out. I'm curious.
Hmm.
I mean, I enjoyed being an agent. I enjoyed working in development. I loved working in that kind of space. I did enjoy that. It's so funny because when I was in dancing, if it wasn't for Debbie Allen, I faced so much ageism, and I didn't even have white hair then. Like, I
Mm.
couldn't get a job. I had been like in a job teaching, in a major university in Syracuse. And when I moved to LA, I could not get a job.
Mm.
It was like the worst feeling ever. And, the ageism is real out there, and like
Yeah.
having to get your dates off your resume and take things off and navigate all of that. So, honey, I have a lot of trust in the universe because I don't know, where things will always lead. Yeah. Those are the things that freak me out sometimes. I don't like to, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. No, I understand
Like,
that. I appreciate
you know
that.
what I mean? Like, no, it's just no. I love to. I don't know where I would go. It would be something in a creative space. That seems to have been the through line through it all. To
Well, and
be
there's no, it doesn't, you'd be fine. I mean, clearly. I
yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm saying. I
yeah.
trust the universe. I'll be fine. Like, I have to
Yep.
do the self effort, but at this moment I'm not really thinking about that.
Hmm.
I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah. What brought you joy about the other things you did when you said no to dance for a while? What were the
I was
elements?
connected to dance. I was connected to
Ah, okay, got it. It was
yeah,
another way of looking at it. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, doing something else
Love it.
in the field. So whether I was an agent or
Totally.
assistant choreographer or a
Totally.
publicist, I was really focused on dancers and creatives. So it's always been connected to that.
Yeah. No, totally.
And that there are other things that you can do in dance besides dance.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that's important,
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
And I think I do know that.
Yeah. No, totally. What's your definition of living in the moment? Do you have one?
Well, I don't know that I have one for sure. It's just trying to be present and not look forward or back is a big one for me.
Hmm.
A lot of that comes from Debbie Allen. Like, I don't look back. I don't look forward at what's coming because there's always so many things coming at her. And I kind of really love that thought. It's just
Hmm.
like, I'm here now. I'm with you, trying to practice that. It's a practice, but
Yeah.
then not looking back or forward too much anymore. I look a little forward, but back, it's like dipping your toe, but not getting like engulfed in it.
Yeah.
I think it needs
Totally.
to be. What about you? What's your definition?
Well, it's interesting because I just came across a Buddhist concept actually about hope and hopelessness. And it would kind of rock my world in a good way though, because I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense to practice hopelessness. And that doesn't mean like victimhood, like, oh, I'm hopeless, but practice not hoping, then it brings you to the present because you're never hoping that the weather's going to get better or hoping you might get that job or whatever. You're just full in. And I love that. So for me, because I feel like I'm pretty good at practicing being in the moment. I've kind of always, I don't know why, but been that way. Of course, in my work, I have an opportunity to do it more and more and more. But yeah, so that really, the hopelessness thing, that was literally like the other day, I was like,
That makes makes sense actually.
It does, right?
Because it is true, like even when I was saying about there, it happiness doesn't lie in. If my biggest dream was to is to be on Broadway, like that doesn't mean happiness lies if I get that.
Nope.
Still the same person,
Yep.
So I like to focus on the journey a lot,
Hmm.
to that aspect of it, which is similar. But I really love that the hopeless. I get that it's not like the sadness. I totally get that, and
Yeah.
the idea of it's like a surrender.
And it's a letting go of attachment
Mhm.
to the I'll be better when, or it'll be great if, and oh, I hope I get that. Or
No, that's a lovely thought because the being attached to thing is when you get disappointed. Being
that's
attached.
right. That's right. And happiness, I believe, or anything really, confidence in whatever, insert, whatever the goal is a result. It's not a destination, right? Happiness is a result of having done something, but you don't do something to get happy.
Ah, yes, yes, that makes sense.
You become happy through just doing.
Mhm.
You don't sort of strive for happiness.
Right.
I don't know.
No,
Anyways.
it makes listen. It makes total sense to me. I get it.
We
I
went
get
there.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, we went there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Um, hey, this is going to be so interesting. I bet you have one too. What's one big audacious goal that you haven't put out in the universe, or at least that you haven't, yeah, maybe you haven't even put it out in the universe yet.
One audacious goal.
Yeah, just something that you haven't put out in the universe, but that, you think I might toss that one out one time.
Well, I'd love to be. I'd love to walk in like a fashion show. I'd love to be in a
Hmm.
fashion, like as a white-haired woman. That's something fun. I would love to do. I'd also one thing that I've never really told somebody. Really, I have this like secret dream of like having a really cool van that's like those vans that people live in and like driving or going places in that and like just pulling up and yeah and like living in it.
Love
But like
it.
definitely I follow actually on Instagram I follow a lot of like van life types of content, so that's
Yeah.
really something I've never really talked about, but that is something that I would really, I have like that adventure side of me.
Yeah.
During COVID, I took a lot of adventures in LA, like just exploring because you could go to museums, you could go to
Hmm.
parks, going to all these places that you never, like, there's so many places. I lived in New York for so long, I never went. So really trying to explore LA more. And I found so many like hidden gems. So yeah, having like a really cool hippie van that
Love it.
like a souped up one
Yeah.
and traveling around and driving to the Grand Canyon and like pulling up in like my cool van, like doing that would be
Totally.
with like a fire pit. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's something outside of the ordinary aside from like wanting to be in a fashion show. That's something else that's a good one. I don't think
Those
I've
are, yeah, those are beautiful. And it's funny because so possible, right? What's an impossible thing? What's something that maybe you'd like to do that you think like, yeah, that's never gonna happen.
I don't know, that would never happen.
Yeah, or that you just kind of, I'm not even, it's kind of you've toyed with, but you're kind of like,
I don't even know what that would
hmm,
be. I don't know.
cool.
Yeah, at this stage, I don't know what would be impossible. At
I
this,
love it.
I can't think of something, but I'm sure something exists, but it's not coming to mind.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense.
What's yours?
I used to really, really want to be a journalist, and I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. And look what I'm doing right now. The
Exactly.
biggest joy of my life is doing the podcast.
Reimagining.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reimagining. It's not always as textbook-y as we think.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. No. And I believe that it's really cool to go back and look at these dreams. It's kind of what you were saying, right? The imagining. And a lot of people limit themselves either because they did do something or they started to do something. And then they went they made a right turn saying, no, I was really good artist, but I decided I would major in engineering instead or whatever. And then they think that they're not creative anymore because they just left it behind.
Right.
Right. But if they go back now with this new mindset, kind of like you did, well, except that you are a dancer. So yours is a little bit different, but still you're sort of encouraging that, like you said, the imagination, which
Mhm.
is beautiful. Yeah. It's good to dream. I'm just pushing you to dream because you've already you're living your dream, right?
It
So I'm
is.
just
I
super
know.
curious. Yeah, to see.
No, it's a good question. I just don't think about things not being possible. I mean, there's certain things like I'm never going to be in a ballet company. That was a big dream. Like we know the reality, you know what I mean, but that's not happening.
No.
But there's other ways. Actually, somebody I know was like, "Oh, I wanted to be a ballet dancer. That didn't happen. They ended up being a ballet dancer in a TV show, so it was cool. Like, you know
Yep.
what I mean? They did get to do it. I don't know. I definitely the other one I had, and I heard. I don't think it's happening. I wanted to really be in the Savage Fenty. I don't know if you it's fashion show. That was like a huge thing I wanted to do. That's where
Yeah.
that. But anyway, yeah, nothing off the top of my head
Cool.
is
Oh, no
great.
worries.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's good. I want yeah, check back with me and let me know.
Yeah.
What's something that you don't want people to know about you?
Something I don't want people to know about me. Hmm. That I have insecurities like everybody.
Mm,
You know, I always that I have doubts and
yeah.
fears. You know,
Yeah.
because you show a certain side of yourself. People say, "Oh, I see you dancing. You're so confident." I'm like, really? I'm confident when the music comes on. I know how to take space. I know how to take the stage. I know how to do that. But there are other areas. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. And those are the things that impede your performance, right? Which is why I feel like you're reborn a little bit now because all that younger self bullshit when you were dancing is not haunting you because you're not young.
Yeah, it tries to creep in sometimes, but it's like go away.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and now it's yeah, and it will, right? I mean, I believe in again in my work, we have these these gremlins, I call them,
Yes,
which are there, trying to keep us safe. They don't want you to be embarrassed, right? And you're like, listen, I'm good. I'm good. Let's recast your script here and let's talk about
exactly.
how you can help me.
I like to say it's time for a plot twist.
Totally. I love that. What would you say is your Achilles heel, if anything?
um, Not feeling safe in space.
In physical space, you mean? Like,
Yeah, like or feeling judged. I pick up on energy, and so like my reaction to an energy, I guess.
mm,
It can throw me. It can
yeah.
easily throw me.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
No, that makes sense. And so what is it about that that makes you feel disempowered? Is it the way that it makes you feel?
Not a person, for example, like I
No.
realize, like if somebody comes at me in certain situations, I've learned it's not them, it's how I respond to it.
Mhm.
So I can get insecure, really, I can get insecure,
Yeah.
and go down that path. I guess
Mhm.
being able to stay, the goal for me is to be able to stay focused and not get swayed by other people's energy.
How do you navigate that though with your presence now, right? Because you're so out there.
I feel like I trigger a lot of people too. I don't know. I get that feeling sometimes like, oh my God, I trigger people just my presence. I don't know how to explain that, but how do I navigate it? Well, it's an interesting thing that people don't talk about, like especially in the dance space about social media. So people they see you posting videos,
Mhm.
and then they see you in class and they expect that you're going to be that way all the time. But I'm here to take class.
Mm.
So you know, I generally have great times, but there's times you mess up, you do things. So I think it's being patient with yourself and trying to I try to tell myself to go into that space.
Mm.
For me, I have to go into a mindset and like if I'm in a class and it's challenging, I have to go into like a bubble to like focus.
Totally. Like just block the other things out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And people may read that as weird, but it's not about anybody else except I'm trying to get the steps.
Yeah.
So
No.
that, but navigating is hard. I mean, other people that I know, it's you'll be dancing, people just have cameras. I mean, it's like, girl, I just want to take class.
Mm.
I didn't find that like so much in New York because it's the spaces are a little bit different, but here in LA, it's very much that.
Well, yeah, and like, what about, because I know that, well, you said that space is so important to you, right? And I'm imagining you being home in your safe space, but again, because you're such a public figure now, that and the part of your job, it seems like, because it seems like you do respond to people, right? So
I do.
you're going to be subject to having to look at everybody's comments and stuff. How do you navigate that?
Well, I don't really get too much negativity. I think
Good,
there's like a cycle in the beginning. And then, to be honest, if somebody comes with negativity, I usually just block them and that's
good,
it.
yeah,
Been my strategy and it's worked.
yeah.
It's worked because then eventually I kind of got through the riffraff, and those are always usually people who don't post. They just really have a bully mentality and that's what they do. It's a very strange kind of situation.
Yeah, and they're gonna
But
come out of the woodwork for sure. Yeah,
yeah, I don't really get that too much. I don't really
good.
get too much negativity. I wish I
Oh,
could
okay, good.
respond to more people. So many people write so many nice things. I just can't be on the device all the time. That's another thing. I spend way too much time. Like if I turned this camera around right now and you saw like my island in my kitchen of all the paperwork and things I need to do, it's
Mm,
like, that's another Achilles heel. It's like it's gotten a little bit away from me,
yeah.
handling my own business.
I was gonna say it's your own business. So do you do everything or do you have people that help you?
No, I do. I mean, I do everything. I just have a lot of things coming in and it gets away from me a little bit. And it's like in this next couple of days, I have to like really reclaim it all.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that likes 5,000 emails in my inbox. And right now I have a couple hundred and it's so anxiety provoking.
For sure.
And people I know friends, I see their inbox, oh, you have 10,000 emails. I could never.
What do you know will stay true about you no matter what happens?
I'm here for a good time always. I think I do love to laugh and have fun. Um, what will stay true? I'm very loyal. I'm very
Mm,
loyal. I've learned that about myself.
I love
Yeah,
it. Where do
loyal.
you see yourself, I don't know, 10 years and then 20 years from now? Can you vision that? Do you have sort of any kind of current master plan, or are you just free
Years,
flowing?
I'm not really sure. I
Yeah,
don't know, 20 years. I would be 75. I really don't know. I hope somebody will take care of me at some point.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
75. It's not really that old. I mean, it
Well,
depends.
75. I mean, Debbie Allen's like 76. She's choreographing for Mariah Carey right now. So there's that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so I have great role models. In
Yeah.
in 10 years, I just hope to be honest, I see myself just whatever that is in the moment, still finding and doing whatever I love, staying connected to what I love and letting and uh that's just a big one for me. It may not be dance, it could be something else, but that
Yeah.
I'm still connected to that part of myself that hears what that is and recognizes what that is.
Yeah.
And I think life is fluid.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's gonna just following.
Yeah.
I mean, like professionally, I'd love to be acting. I'd love to be doing something like that. I'm training and doing that. That would like playing characters and like really being able to explore that in some capacity would be
Totally. How do you want to be remembered?
somebody who gave life 120%.
Haha.
Like
Totally.
that's for me. I gave my all and anything
Yeah.
I regardless. And I feel like I have to this point. In dancer terms, like you're never gonna see me mark. You will never see
Yeah.
me. You just won't. And sometimes I should, but you're just not like I don't want to think I ever marked through life.
Mm.
I went for it.
Yeah.
That I went for it and it'll land where it's gonna land, but that I went for it.
Yeah. It's a great way to think about it.
And that I did it my way too. I'm not married, I don't have kids. I don't have regrets about that. And I think it's given me freedom to do other things that maybe I wouldn't have gotten to do and things that I still will do.
Yeah.
So I think that I did it my way. I wrote my own story. I
Yeah.
did it, you know, the way that was for me.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, 55, like people say, oh, the white hair, they call me grandmother. They say things. It's just, we have different costumes. this is my costume, you have your costume. It's not one size fits all.
It's really antiquated thing, this you have white hair
Oh,
bullshit.
honey, you don't
It's no, your
know.
hair is beautiful, by the way.
I love it, but you would be surprised. People really equate white hair equals grandmother. Believe me, I've seen it a many, many times. Not even with malicious intent. It's just culturally what people think.
Yeah, and did you used to dye your hair before, like
Yeah.
before? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And did you have a lot of gray then?
I
Or
did.
white?
I mean, I didn't know how much I had. I dyed it every 2 weeks. It was definitely a liberating decision. Not for everybody. I never advocate for that or say it just, I think had it not been for COVID, I might not have done it. It just happened that way. It ended up being a gift.
Totally.
Not the way I ever thought I would do it, walking around. I always said, I'll never do that. I'm going to go to India. I'm going to shave my head. I'm going to go to like an ashram and like meditate. And then I'm going to come back from India and it'll grow in. That was like my fantasy.
I love it. I love it. Can you finish this phrase? Most people think Kim Hale is, but the truth is.
Super confident. The truth is, I actually am a pretty fragile person in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm going to say what makes you, and I'm just going to say a word, and you can just say the first thing that comes to your mind. How does that sound?
Okay, I think I got you.
What makes you hungry?
The smell of food in the oven, like food cooking makes me
Mm-hmm. What makes your heart sing?
beautiful dancers. Oh, I saw one the other day, like stunning. Makes me happy to see.
What makes you sad?
Hateful acts.
What inspires you?
Possibilities.
That was quick. What frustrates you?
Self-doubt. Self-doubt.
Yeah. What makes you laugh?
Friends. Silly moments.
What makes you angry?
Again, the same that I said before, hateful acts.
And finally, what makes you grateful?
Every day, life. Just another breath.
Yeah. Amen. What are the top 3 things that happened so far today?
The top 3 things. I went to the chiropractor. Oh my God, I took the best shower. I had it so hot. That, and what else happened today? I just had some nice quiet moments.
Nice. And what's something that you're looking forward to both today and then meta?
Today, I'm looking forward to dancing tonight. And I'm looking forward to unexpected dreams coming true.
Love it.
Unexpected. This universe, show me how great you are.
I love it. Kim, I can't thank you enough for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. So fun. I love these games. You got me thinking about things, and that's always makes it worthwhile. I got to think about like that dream, like that one. What was it? The dream?
One big audacious goal that you haven't put out in the universe?
Yeah, one audacious goal. That's a good one.
It's good to think about that, right?
Yeah.
Because often when we dream within the parameters of what we can understand. But beyond what we can understand is an infinite amount of dreaming potential.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Good one. Good question.
I've been speaking today with Kim Hale. Thanks so much for listening. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. And remember to live in the moment. In music, stop time is that beautiful moment where the band is suspended in rhythmic unison, supporting the soloist to express their individuality. In the moment, I encourage you to take that time and create your own rhythm. Until next time, I'm Lisa Hopkins. Thanks for listening.